When all you have is a firm belief and people who follow you, what do you do when all of those things are threatened? Hello, my miracles, and welcome to another episode of Coffee and Crime. This is our last month of cults episode, and today we're going to be talking about the Branch Davidians. So grab your coffee and let's talk some crime. The Branch Davidian religion was formed from the Seventh-day Adventist religion by Victor Houtef in 1935. He believed his religion was more reformed and built a community called Davidians. After his death, Victor's wife, Florence, would continue his movement. In 1957, Florence would purchase 941 acres near Elk, Texas, about 13 miles northeast of Waco, Texas. There, Mount Carmel was born. But after a failed prophecy, Florence would dissolve the Davidian Association in 1962 and sell some of the land. In February of 1973, Mount Carmel was sold to Benjamin Roden and his wife, Lois. And upon his death in 1978, Lois became the next Davidian prophet at the compound. Mount Carmel would soon attract a young man named Vernon Howell, better known as David Koresh. He went to Mount Carmel to study biblical prophecy. In 1983, Koresh and his newly gained followers broke off from the organization to form the Davidian branch Davidian Seventh-day Adventist Association. After Lois Roden dies, Koresh would commit identity theft against the Branch Davidians, claiming to be president of the organization. Going a step further, on November 3rd of 1987, Koresh and 7 of his followers went to the compound and engaged in a shootout with Lois's son, George Roden. This eventually resulted in Koresh and his followers obtaining the land and Mount Carmel. Koresh and the 7 followers would be arrested. However, his followers would be found not guilty at trial. The jury in David Koresh's trial could not agree on a verdict, which led to a mistrial. Koresh had a wide reach around the world. His followers were enamored by his teachings and his presence. But behind his great ability to teach and captivate, David Koresh would verbally humiliate and abuse his followers. And the biggest thing he would instill in his followers was to be afraid of the outside world. On February 28, 1993, at 4:20 a.m., the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms attempted to execute a search warrant relating to alleged abuse charges and illegal weapons violations. The ATF would try and breach the compound for 2 hours, firing ammunition until it ran low. No one was budging. The standoff between David Koresh, his followers, and the ATF lasted 51 days. Contact had been established between the ATF and David Koresh, and 19 children were released into the FBI's protection. On April 19th, the FBI moved in for a final siege of the compound, using rifles and armored combat engineering vehicles. They tried tear gas to flush out the compound and claimed that the followers opened fire on them. The FBI returned fire. Around noon, 3 fires broke out in different parts of the compound. Branch Davidian survivors maintain that the fires were either started accidentally or deliberately by the assault. 76 members of Koresh's followers, including children, died in a fire that erupted during the siege on April 19th of 1993. In all, 4 ATF agents were killed, 16 wounded, and 6 Branch Davidians died in the initial raid on February 28th. A federal grand jury indicted 12 of the surviving Branch Davidians, charging them with multiple counts from unlawful possession of firearms to voluntary manslaughter. 4 members were acquitted. Theories circulate about the siege at Waco, and in my opinion, this could have been prevented. David Koresh claimed that he was the Son of God. His teachings were that the first Christ was a holy Christ, yet he was the sinful Messiah. David Koresh was an evil man who, during a 51-day siege, led all of his followers to their deaths. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Coffee and Crime, Month of Cults. If you did, hit that like button. And if you're not a miracle and want to be, hit that subscribe button and watch a miracle happen. I'm Miracle Girl for Coffee and Crime. I'll see you next time.